before the CAADP framework, of course, countries had policies, but as you know, most African countries had gone through a structural adjustment period where, capacity of planning and thinking along an evidence-based approach of planning wasn't there. So we had policies, but one could question whether those policies were developed on a basis that is responsible from the evidence that has been collected from the ground. And so whether these policies were responding to the areas where there was actual need, to put in place policies to promote growth in agriculture. So the CAADP framework, with its targets of 6% increased productivity and 10% of national budget allocation, and through the process that NEPAD, with the African Union Commission and the REX, instituted to support countries to review their agricultural practices and policies, do gap analysis and stock taking, do research and have baseline work, really did help countries to think in a very structured way what are the areas that they need to emphasize in the agricultural policies and what types of investments they need to put in place or implement to support the implementation of those policies, with the key objectives of increasing agricultural productivity and improving, on the food and nutrition security of of our people. The CAADP framework also contributed in providing a framework that encouraged alignment of what our development partners are contributing to support our government in implementing that strategic objective in agriculture. So again, in a sense, that framework helped to avoid the situation where you had each partner coming into countries and pushing for different types of policies, based on their areas of interest. So the framework helped that alignment. So I would say helping to reintroduce a robust planning process, pushing for an evidence-based approach to planning and decision making, and creating a platform for alignment of all stakeholders to that vision, and fully providing a platform for inclusive design of policies in the countries. I think CAADP has contributed quite a lot. Of course, there are things that we could improve on and do better, and the next 10 years of CAADP implementation would then now focus on implementing results and impact on the areas that we have identified in the planning process and in the policies that have been put in place. We have done well in the last 10 years on planning, and this was necessary. The next 10 years of CAADP is about results and impact on the ground, people's life. How are we supporting through agriculture the issue of job creation, attaining food and nutrition security, promoting further regional cooperation. We need to have our policies and actions targeted to supporting the smallholder farmers on the ground. We need to address the question of land ownership. We know in many African countries we have this issue, and farmers hesitate, not even hesitate, might not be putting the optimal effort because they don't have that security of tenure. So we need to address these questions and make sure that they have the security where they know that they are working and they can develop these farms into businesses where they are not just thinking about, subsistence, but they are seeing being a farmer as a business. That way I think we can get impact. We can better leverage and support the delivery of CAADP in a way that is having a transformative impact on the lives of African people. So we're not just going to be seeing increase in GDP growth at the national level, but we'll be seeing that trickling down to the people who are actually farming the land and who do need to see better living standards, have security of incomes and revenues. And in that way, I think CAADP will be contributing not only to the issue of food and nutrition security, but also to the political stability of the countries and of the continent at large. I would say, to an extent, because I don't think we are there yet. There's a lot that could still be done. But beginning on the positive side, I think, yes, once you have a collaborative framework like CAADP is, you have a basis for regional discussion. And we have seen some regions have made more progress in using CAADP as a framework to promote regional cooperation. For instance, in ECOWAS, we have the Regional CAADP Compact, the ECOWAS, which is the basis for regional cooperation in agriculture. So they've done well. We know that right now the COMESA, SADC, and ESC are also working on developing a regional cooperation framework based on CAADP. So it has provided the basis for further reflection and domesticating the principles and concepts of CAADP in a regional context in these two regions that I've mentioned. ECOWAS they're already there. But I think when you beyond the regional agreements or the regional compact that have been put in place, when you look at the areas where we have to have impact, I think we still have a bit of work to do. For instance, I think we can and we need to still continue to push on having more integrated regional markets, for instance. We do know the situation in a continent where in some countries we have increased production of agricultural produce. However, we are seeing a lot of this production going to waste. So there's 40% of post-harvest loss in the continent. Now we have other countries that are in need of food and things that are producing in other areas. If we had an integrated market, this produce that have been lost or wasted, in some countries will have access to the markets of the region, and so you will avoid that wastage. We are importing, I think, about 40 billion worth of food product every year. So that tells us that there is a market in the continent that can absorb the waste that we are having. So we have to make those linkages in our policies to ensure that we move on promoting measures that will open the space for the regions to trade better and address the issues of food distribution, efficiencies in markets, and all of that.